Here's what you'll get in the box. You'll get the bracket itself. You'll get the bolts to mount the trolling motor to the bracket. You'll get the front reinforcement plate. You'll get the rear reinforcement plate. And then you'll get the bolts and shims to mount the bracket to the boat. You will need about 13 inches from the front of the boat to your fence here to be able to flip the trolling motor up and have enough space for it to flip up. Our standard bracket does require that there be 13 inches from the front of the boat here to this fence. We do offer a reduced clearance bracket that only requires 6 inches from the front of the boat here to this fence for those boats that don't have this much space out in front of the fence. This is the bracket that will be mounting to the pontoon, and it will mount with these holes here, and these two over here will mount to the deck of the pontoon, and then the trolling motor itself will mount to these 4 holes out here. So it'll sit horizontal out in front of the boat on this plate. There's a few things to consider on where you choose to mount the trolling motor bracket. Being that the trolling motor will stay horizontal to the front of the pontoon like this, it's a good idea to keep it inside the outside rail here. That way when you're docking, you don't have any issue there. And then this particular pontoon has a staircase that comes up, and if we were to locate the trolling motor like it is now, we'd still easily be able to get into the pontoon. For those of you who have not used a bow mount trolling motor, this is what one looks like. This one happens to be a Minn Kota. There's several different brands or manufacturers out there making them. They all have a cover on the side. There's usually a couple of screws, one here on the Minn Kota, one here, and then this cover comes off. And then these holes, there's 1, 2, 3. These are the mounting holes that will mount this unit to the trolling motor bracket. We're only going to use 4 of these holes, so 2 on each side. There's 2 here. There's another cover on this side that would need to come off, and the same series of holes are over there. Bow mount trolling motors come in different shaft lengths. So this shaft, can range from I think 45 up to 60, maybe even make longer ones than that. There are service centers that any Minn Kota service center, I know they can trim this shaft to whatever size shaft you want, so it fits on the front of the pontoon better. So depending on where you locate your mounting bracket would determine how long you need that shaft. Once you've chosen where you'd like the motor to sit, left to right on the front of the boat here, I'd recommend making a small mark near the mounting hole you choose to use. I'm going to use this one here, so I'm going to make a little mark on the boat as a reference for the plate when I mount that to the boat. If you don't want to set your trolling motor up here on the deck to get your pencil mark, or if you don't have enough space between here and the fence to set a trolling motor to get a pencil mark, you can put your trolling motor down and measure just past the longest point on the shaft of the trolling motor here, the head of the trolling motor, back to the first mounting hole that you're going to use. I'm going to use this one. So we'll take that measurement, which on this one will be 45 inches, but depending on your shaft length of the trolling motor here, that number could change depending on what model you have. Take the measurement you just got and then measure from the edge of the boat here over to whatever number you measured. Ours happened to be 45. So then put a mark on the boat at that measurement and then go on to the next step. Once you have your pencil mark here, orientate the trolling motor bracket in the upright position like this, and line up this hole with that mark on the boat, and then make a mark on your plate so when you remove this from the boat to drill your holes, you'll still be able to line up this plate with the mark you have on the boat. Before you mark your holes to be drilled using this template, make sure that this protective film on the template is facing up and towards the front of the boat, as you see here. Once you have your two marks lined up like this, clamp it down using a wood clamp, and then you can mark your holes to be drilled. Once you have your holes marked, before you do any drilling, come underneath the boat and look in the areas where you'll be drilling to see if there's any wiring or anything in the way before you drill. You may have to move some wires out of the way before you drill your holes. Once your holes have been marked using the template, you'll need a 3/8 inch drill bit to drill these 4 holes. After you drill your holes, and before you mount the trolling motor bracket onto this plate, you may need to use some of these nylon spacers that are supplied to put underneath this to level out this portion of the mounting bracket. That way, from this lip, depending on what style boat you have, there may be this lip here, and these spacers will level this portion of the plate. You'll need to put these spacers on both sides, here and on the far side, to make sure that this whole plate stays level if you have this lip here in the front of your boat. This is the underside of this trolling motor that we've got here. And these holes will need to be enlarged to 5/16 using a 5/16 drill bit, just because we're going to be using 4 out of the 6 holes. So we're going to use a little larger bolt for extra stability. This is a video from underneath the boat. Once the front reinforcement plate here and then the rear reinforcement plate have both been installed, just so you can see what it looks like. This is what the trolling motor bracket looks like from above once it's been mounted to the boat. You can see how this plate now, once the trolling motor is mounted to it, it can flip up vertically out of the way so you can put it on the trailer and it doesn't interfere with the bumpers on the trailer. It can flip back down once you're in the water and be used as a bow mount trolling motor. So this is what the bracket looks like once it's been installed on the pontoon. Now it's ready for any trolling motor that you choose to be mounted horizontally on these 4 holes here. Once you have the trolling motor mounted to the bracket, this is what it'll look like on the front of the boat. And this is what it looks like in the flipped up position. So you can put it on the trailer.